I'm taking you through my schedule and a day in the life from the difference between my six-figure freelance writing business and my $0 freelance writing business. That's what we're going over today. So what I think is really interesting is I've been asked this a lot, like, what is your day like? And I feel like my day has really changed a ton over the years. It's not just about what my day looks like now, it's like the different phases of my business. So I'm going to take you through 3 different phases of my business where my day has changed and what kind of my schedule looks like, so that we can kind of, see what it's like. And I think the important thing here to remember, just as I go through the day in life, hey Vicky, welcome in, is that everybody's day is different. And some people do really well with scheduling and calendars, and some people do really well with time blocking and the Pomodoro method. And some people just kind of do well when they wing it or when they go by, whatever kind of flow works for them. So the interesting thing here is that everybody's day kind of looks a little bit different, but I'm going to walk you through mine. So number one here, the first thing that we're talking about is like one of the first phases of my business. So I'll do my 6-figure business last. But yeah, I'm going to walk you through several different things. So this is the first one. So the first phase of my business was when I had nothing. This phase was when I had no clients, no nothing. I didn't know how to do anything. So it took me a while to learn stuff. So for me, when I started this, I spent a few months kind of just learning how to do things and diving into a bunch of different freelance writing resources and blogs and a whole bunch of different information from different sources about how to basically just get my business going. So the first phase of the business and your day in the life is like figuring out what you should be doing. Just figure out what you should do. It's not writing all the time because you're running a business. Hey Vesna, welcome in. Hey Tommy, I like the pineapple. I felt like today was a pineapple shirt kind of day. We're glad you're here, Vesna. So basically this point was like, what do I actually do? What am I supposed to do? And a lot of times the early freelance writing advice is like, you should write every day because that helps your skills. And I guess it helps you build a writing practice per se, but it doesn't actually help you build a business, which is what keeps the money coming in. Like, this is an interesting thing I keep in my mind all the time. There are people less talented than you making more money than you, right? So no matter how talented you feel, right, whether you feel like you have 0 talent or all the talent, right, there is someone with even less talent or even more talent or whatever. They're making more money than you. And I keep that in the back of my mind. There's someone with less talent. So if I believe in my writing abilities and believe that I'm really talented or that I can write a lot of copy that converts or do a really good job for my clients, there's someone who isn't as good at the things I'm good at making more money than me. That's something I keep in my mind. So even when you're starting at 0, remember that this is about building a business that actually, gets you to write, right? You actually have to make money for this to be something that you can continue doing, right? A lot of times people are like, oh, you have to have all these skills and all these writing things. And yeah, you do need to be a good writer to get into the writing business. I think that's kind of a pretty obvious point. But the idea is that in order to get more clients and become a better writer and get the feedback and learn from people and become a writer that people seek out based on seeing your clips or based on seeing the results you've gotten for clients, that is like learning to build your business. That's not about like people magically finding you. Excuse me. That's not about people magically finding you and then being like, hey, we should hire you. That just doesn't happen. Like, it took me many, many years to build a website and build LinkedIn and build a network and all this stuff to have people coming to me. And now I get to like shortchange that process by teaching other people how to do it. So like, that's what I teach in Freelance Writer Wealth Lab is like the way shortened version. So like for me, it took years and now it takes them like a few months. So all of these things, like, it's just a really important thing to remember that there's all of this stuff that you have to do when you start out, which is like learning to actually build a business and then working on writing talent and then working on skills and getting it all together. There's always kind of this thing that happens where I find that this is like a weird thing. You kind of get clients where you're at, and it's weird. Like a lot of times I see my students get surprised by getting really good clients, and I'm like, dude, you're really good. Like your clients kind of meet you where you're at. So you end up kind of getting these clients where like when I started out and I had nothing and I started sending my LOIs and pitches, right? I was getting clients where like the level of writing kind of like matched where I was. Like you always kind of end up getting these things, and people are like, oh my gosh, like, one of my students is writing for Forbes now, and it's because she's a good writer. She didn't like fall into it by like, having shitty skills. Like she's a good writer, and that kind of matched it. So there's like this weird thing. Hey, Getty, welcome in. There's this weird thing that happens where your clients kind of meet you where you're at, sort of. I don't know why. There's like this weird thing. But I would worry more about the business fundamentals. So if you're starting from square one, which we all do, your most important thing in your day in the life is your marketing. You have to get your business out there. So when I was starting out, I built up my LinkedIn, and that means I fixed up my profile. I wasn't like trying to connect with everybody on LinkedIn. I was building my profile, fixing up my website to the best of my ability, and then I was sending all of my LOIs and pitches, my letters of introduction and my pitches. And I always kind of recommend when someone asks me a number, you need at least 50 to 75 LOIs per month when you're starting out. For me, that was really hard because if I hit like 55, I was like, no, I didn't hit 75. Or if I hit like 49, I was like, oh no, I didn't hit enough. And that really demotivated me. That was really hard for me. So I started switching to effort goals, which meant that every day I would spend an hour on my marketing. And if I had no writing work, if I had no assignments, all day was marketing. So if you're starting from zero, your day should be looking for lists of clients. It should be sending out LOIs and pitches. It should be connecting with the right types of clients on LinkedIn or other writers on LinkedIn. It should be learning about your craft and learning how to build a business. It should be building the framework. So for me, when I started my day in the life in the beginning, it was like, how do I build the framework of this business? Like, how do I kind of get all of these little pieces together? And marketing, you got to do it. Like, it's not, if you do marketing right as a freelance writer, it's not salesy or gross. Like, I always think of it as like, do you need help with content? Cool, I'm here to help. That's it. That's it. It's not pushy. It's not like you have to have this thing. That just doesn't work. So as you're starting out, always think of your marketing as like, do you need help? Cool, I can help you. So your opportunity is just that you're reaching out saying like, hey, do you need help with your content? Cool, that's it. So as you're kind of going through, for me, I did as much marketing like as I could figure out. Like for a while, it wasn't very much because I was so scared and nervous, and it took me a whole month to write my first reported article, and that took all my time. But when you're kind of thinking about your day-to-day, you have to be getting your business out there because you kind of have to get traction. And the way I always explain this to students, to like my freelance writer Wealth Lab students, and then also my one-on-one students, is you have to like get the train up and going. So you have to shovel a ton of coal or wood, or how, maybe you have like an eco-friendly train and you're like charging the solar panels. I don't know. But you have to do a bunch of stuff to get that train going. Trains take a long time to get up to speed, and then they take a long time to slow down. So your job when you're starting out, and what I thought of my day-to-day as, is like, I got to shovel the coal. I got to get the train going. I got to like get this thing together. That's your whole job, is to like get the momentum and get it going. Once your business kind of moves to like the next phase that I'm going to talk about, then you're kind of like, you still have to do your regular marketing to fill the pipeline, but it's not so strenuous, and you actually have work to do. So you actually have clients and stuff. But in your first phase, your day-to-day should be marketing, learning about your craft, which is writing, learning about writing for different clients, learning from a bunch of different people, understanding the types of content that you can write and the types of niches and clients that you can write for. And then also basically, hello, what's up? And then basically you want to be moving your business forward every single day. So your whole job is to take action every single day in the first phase of your business when you're making $0 and have 0 clients, is to just take a step forward every single day. No, Woo. Go back to your hobbit hole. We'll get to you later, Woo. Go back to your hobbit hole. That's not your hobbit hole. Oh, Woo. Woo, go back to your hobbit hole. Good job. Hang out in your hobbit hole for a bit. You're being a sassy molassy. Oh, now you're sitting up. There's Barry. There's Minnie being a sass. I like your lip gloss, though, Minnie. Your shiny lower lip is pretty cute. And you're like, I should get something. All right. let me take you through the next phase of my business, and then we'll do something with you, Minnie. So the first phase is just setting the framework. So your day in the life is mostly not writing. Like you're probably writing 10% of your days, like in total, not even just day to day. Your writing is for clients. And then if you want to write other stuff to like work on your skills and get things, moving along. A lot of people ask me if they should start a blog. I just don't think that's worth it. It's just, there's like this stat that I shared a while back. There's 100 billion blogs, okay, with a B, 100 billion blogs, and there are only 2 million podcasts, okay? So getting a blog and getting traffic and building it up and all that stuff, or using it, okay, go away, Woo. Go away. You're being a sass. Go over there and stop being a sass. Thank you. So if there's 100 billion blogs and you're trying to use that to get traffic or to get people to find you, like it is just really, really hard as someone new. Like a company that has an established website and they have like all that juice, that's way different than you starting a brand new website and then trying to get people to your blog. Plus, when you're starting out, if you want to get clips, writing them alone in a vacuum by yourself for a blog that's yours is not it's not going to help you. It's really what ends up happening is you write all these things and they're just for nobody. Like they don't have a specific audience. They're not very clear. Unless you have a ton of experience where you can start a blog and it's like very honed in for your ideal client, consider that. But I find most of the time with newer writers, they're just like, how do I get a clip? Go send ideas. Your best way to get a clip is to work on your pitching game and pitch something out to an online magazine, a trade publication, a consumer magazine, or some place where you can get a clip that's like edited and really nice and focused. And the best way to do that is you got to send those pitches. So for me, a lot of times I think about trade magazines are great places to get clips because you can send them a ton of ideas and they usually have an editorial calendar and the editors are like really good at helping you most of the time. I have a bunch of trade magazines where I just love my editors because like they always like make my work look good and I can bounce ideas off of them and it's just really great. So looking for clips should be sending ideas. That's the way to get some clips. Hey Marie, welcome in. Working for businesses is a totally different story. So working for businesses, if you don't have any clips, that's a little bit of a harder sell. So I always like the idea of pitching things out. So that's the first phase, all right? The second phase, and this is all in point number 1. We're going to talk about other things, but this is the second phase of my business. It's kind of like you have experience, but you're not quite ready to scale. Like you can't really scale to 6 figures because you're still kind of like putting some pieces together and figuring it out. So for me, a day in the life of my second phase of my business was kind of like the hour of marketing every single day, Monday through Friday. And then I would work on current assignments. And if I had extra time at the end of the day, if I had finished all my client calls, finished all my deadlines, done all the stuff I needed to do, then I would go back to marketing. I would work on growing my network on LinkedIn. So connecting with like people I decided that weren't ready or either they didn't have enough revenue or their company was, growing really slowly or they just weren't quite the right fit for me in terms of niche or company. I would just connect with them. I'd send them a little connection note and grow my network that way. And then everyone where I found it was like a serious potential client, I would send them an LOI. So I would send that either through LinkedIn InMails or through email. If I ran out of InMails, I would just use email. But now, unlike when I was, in this second phase of my business, now they have LinkedIn Sales Navigator where you get 50 InMails a month for $100 a month. That is totally worth it. You should do it. Basically, if you're at any phase of your business, you should do it. And I'm actually considering switching. I have like an old lady LinkedIn plan, and I'm considering switching to Sales Navigator because it makes it so much easier to do all your marketing. So your day should be that you're getting your marketing in, you're meeting your deadlines, you're looking ahead, you're growing your network, you're following up. All of those things should be in your day. Like as you kind of go along, you're going to end up adding little things to your day as things become quicker. So as you write faster, as you get quicker at client calls, as you get quicker at interviews or your day-to-day stuff like your admin, always send your invoices when you send in your work, like if it's a magazine, or set up your invoicing so you have specific project-based invoicing schedules. But as you're going through your day-to-day, you're going to be learning like how to do things quicker. So then it leaves up more time to like join LinkedIn groups and then comment in there. And then it leaves more time for you to like or share or comment on other people's posts where they might be your ideal client or they might be someone to kind of like network with. It also leaves time for you to update your website, which you should be doing regularly. With every time you get a clip, every time you get a client and you're putting up a logo or a clip, you should be doing that all the time. Hi, Woo. Woo, go back to your hobbit hole. Don't step on my feet because you're angry. Good girl. All right, hang out in your hobbit hole for a bit. So as you kind of grow your business, you end up having these little things that you can add to your day-to-day. And as that day-to-day kind of changes, then the marketing takes less time, the writing takes less time, and then you can kind of filter in all these extra things. So for me at this step, it was like finally getting the marketing under control, finally learning how to manage my calendar. So like my calendar runs my day. My calendar runs my day. And that really helped me figure out like how to get things done. And I'm very deadline motivated. So for me, it's like, I don't block time saying like, I have to write from 2 to 4. That doesn't work for me. I'm just like, I know I have a deadline Friday at whatever time, or I have a deadline on Friday. I need to spend these days doing these things. And then everything else kind of fits in the gaps between when I'm writing. So in this middle phase, beep, beep, go back to your hobbit hole. I'm going to give you something later. You gotta take it down a notch today. Well, don't take it down a notch. Be your authentic mini self. It's just like right now, this is really important. And I feel that you feel that your Trito needs are more important than this information. All right, I'll give you one because now I triggered you by saying the T word. All right, you can have one. But you have to do your high fives. We're working on new tricks, by the way. All right, ready? Yeah. Yeah. Good job. One more. High five. All right, Barry, you want a Trito? Good job, buddy. Oh, no, your support duck. Good job, buddy. Don't lose your Trito or your support duck. You guys are so ridiculous sometimes. There you are. I always try to get you both on camera, but you always end up moving. You guys can see that Barry's left eye is still healing. We're still working on it. So we're working on it. All right. So as you're in the second phase of your business, it's really important to kind of learn how to manage your schedule, manage your deadlines, manage your marketing, manage kind of like these little things that come up. So like following up or commenting on LinkedIn or sharing your clips on LinkedIn or updating your website, sending invoices, all that stuff, making calendar appointments, all those. Did you just throw up? Okay. Scared me for a second. You made a weird noise. Beep. Okay. As you kind of go along, those are the important things. And your second, go back to your woo hole. Go back to your woo space. You can woo from over there. So this part of your business, your second phase of your business, is the most kind of like jumbly. Like at first, you're kind of just figuring things out and you're kind of putting kind of your building blocks into place. Your second phase of your business, your day-to-day is kind of like, okay, how do I deliver for my clients and move my business forward with marketing and then add in little things along the way? So it kind of takes some time, but eventually you'll get to a place where like it becomes very natural to spend the first hour of your day getting your marketing done, whether your marketing is connection requests, sending LOIs and pitches, following up, liking and commenting, growing your network, anything like that. And then you're like able to do other stuff. You're able to do extra things. And I always feel like when writers tell me like, oh, well, I'm kind of done. Like you're never really done in this business. You kind of have to start learning to like let things go more than realize that you're done. So what that means is like, instead of being like, oh my gosh, like there's always more marketing you could do. There's always more clients you could reach out to. There's always more that could be done. So instead, I guess during this second phase, you kind of have to teach yourself to like rest and take some time off and not be like, there's always something. There will always be something as you run a business. There's always something. And I think that this point, when you're in your second phase, in that second phase part, you're just kind of learning, how do I balance all of this stuff? And the balance isn't always 50-50. It's probably like 70-30. It's like 70% business, 30% downtime / creative thinking. So as you kind of move through, you're going to end up getting to this end of this second phase where you realize like you've gained a lot of knowledge and experience. And that brings you to the third part where I'm going to tell you about my 6-figure business that I have now. And I'm going to tell you all the stuff. So my 6-figure business that I have now is because I got out of phase 2 and I was able to like change the way I do things so that I can scale other parts of my business. So right now my day-to-day is always different. It's always different. So some days I have a ton of calls, whether those are coaching calls or potential client calls or calls for other things like interviews or whatever. There's always like something happening. Like every day I have something. So either I'm doing calls or I have lives. So I have live Q&As for my students. I have master classes for my students. I have all this live every Friday at 12 p.m. Central Time. And there's always something kind of going on. But my deadlines are still driving my schedule. So like this week I had 5 deadlines. No, I didn't. I had 3 deadlines for 5 articles this week. So 2 of them are due today that I'm working on, just as a heads up. But I have to manage that in between master classes for my students, being in the community with my students, answering their questions and DMs, planning for the launch. So like the course is going to open up soon. So Freelance Writer Wealth Lab is about to open on September 6th for enrollment. And I need to plan ahead for emails and setting up all the systems and processes for that. And then also making sure that like, I always try to keep in the back of my mind, like there's 2 kind of groups, like my clients, my freelance writing clients, those need the best Mandy and my students need the best Mandy. Everything else is not the best Mandy. So I spend time where like I get up in the morning and I filter all my emails and I deal with the ones I need to deal with. Then most of the time I end up doing like my client work, like the writing that needs to be done sometimes. Then I do student stuff or I do community stuff or email things if I have some more marketing or following up. And then at the end of the day, I'm either doing more emails and following up and figuring things out, or I'm doing my writing. So this year has been a weird year for me because my day-to-day has been very, very different over the course of time. And my day-to-day changes based on when the course is open. So if I'm running, like my course runs from the end of April till basically the week before July 4th most of the time. And then it runs from September to November. So during those times, my schedule is different because I do live Q&As twice a day. I do this live on Friday. I have client calls. I have one-on-one coaching calls, and I have my regular client work. I'm also doing all of my social media stuff. So anything that I can plan ahead really helps. So all of my social media stuff, like what I end up doing either on Friday night or Saturday or Sunday, and this is like a fun thing I enjoy doing. That's why there's so much of it, is like make reels or make shorts. So I go and make some Instagram reels and I save them as drafts. And then I make a bunch of YouTube shorts, which are usually my Instagram reels. Sometimes they're pieces of lives. They will be more often now. And then I just save them all. Like all of my YouTube shorts are all scheduled for the week. All of my reels are scheduled for the week. Like I have to go in and manually do it because I don't use any tools that'll like post my reels. But then I do that. I manually post my LinkedIn stuff, which is just my reels, right? Like, so any way that I can save time and repurpose and get ahead and schedule and make drafts, I'll do it. So that oftentimes is like the little fun stuff in my schedule, or I schedule things in Canva in the content planner. Woo, come on, you're having a day today, Woo. You're being a sass. Stop being a sass. Woo. All right. So my day-to-day, like, I think the most important thing to remember if you're building a 6-figure business is you have to meet the thing that makes, like, that is the most important first. So like my clients, my freelance writing clients, my content strategy clients, my content marketing clients, that comes before all the other stuff. My students come before all the other stuff. So handling a few emails or whatever, that is second tier effort. So all of the time when I realize I need to put in my best effort, whatever time of the day that is, which for most of this year, I do my writing at night because I spend most of the day handling things while people are awake. And then when people are asleep, I've been doing writing work, which has been working for me. But sometimes I end up doing writing work in the middle of the day because that's when I feel strongest, or I end up doing a lot of student stuff in the middle of the day because I feel my best. But that always gets my best energy. Everything else, like making a reel or scheduling something or a call or a follow-up email or all that stuff, that is like when I'm tired or when I'm like, I can make something right now. Like it's not my most like juiciest of brain times. I think that's a thing that I learned most about day to day with my freelance writing business when I kind of expanded it, was you have to use whatever hours are your best hours, whether those hours are 5 a.m. to 8 a.m. or 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. or midnight to 3 a.m. or whatever your best hours are. That needs to go towards the things that matter most, like your client work and your students, if you have students, or your client work and whatever else. Everything else, commenting, liking, networking, LOIs, follow-up emails, all your regular emails, scheduling appointments, dealing with like snafus, anything else that comes up, like that stuff takes your lowest brain time. So you do it when you have your lowest brain stuff. So for example, when I'm setting up things for this live stream, right? Every week, like I make all of this stuff, right? There's a post on my website, there's a post on social media, and then I set up everything here in Ecamm Live, which runs my live here. I do all that stuff when I have low brain juice. Like when I'm kind of tired, when I'm really tired, it's easy for me to do that stuff. It just doesn't take much effort. So you got to use your effort time for the best stuff. And as I've kind of gone along, my marketing takes like essentially no time. Like I've templatized it. I know who my clients are. I know what I'm going after. It's a lot easier for me to make a list and to identify clients. Like if I get a press release or see an article, I'm like, oops, that's my client. Got to go after them, send them an LOI. That's a lot easier for me. So a lot of times, like I've had some students say like, when do you sleep? Like when do you sleep? You do all this stuff. It's because I've learned when to give my best effort, like when I'm using my best effort time, like not even just giving it, just like I know that right now I'm like really awake. So like right now I've been doing a bunch of writing and getting my work done and editing and stuff because I have deadlines, but also because this is a good time for me to do it. So there's this learning piece where you're like, okay, I realized that my best writing hours are 12 to 3. Like I know what that is every single day. So then I do all the important stuff. Everything else falls around that. That's the most important thing to learn. And like I said, like I still do marketing. My marketing is different. Like I'm doing more marketing right now just because of like things are shifting a lot. But I usually do my marketing quarterly. So I pick like, I don't know, a couple days where I send, 50 LOIs once a quarter. So I'll send it like in January. Sometimes I sprinkle them throughout the month. But usually the first month of every quarter, I send like 50 to 75 LOIs. And that usually kind of keeps the pipeline going. Recently, things have just been like crazy. So I've been doing more marketing, which means I've been prioritizing it. But it doesn't take that much brain time. I just prioritize it as like, do I need to spend this brain time sending 10 LOIs or do I need to do my comments and I'll worry about the comments later? Oh my gosh, everybody's on the move. Go back to your hobble hole. No, that's not your hobble hole. Go back to your hobble hole. Your other hobble hole. Oh my gosh, you guys are everywhere today. So I think those are the important parts, is like I also make time for like little stuff. So like sometimes during the day, I'll know that I need to make a video for a student. So like I'll go and make that video when either when I'm kind of sleepy or, when I'm kind of, or not when I'm sleepy, when I'm kind of awake and I'm kind of up and I'm like, yeah, I'm ready to make this video for you. I'm excited. Like, let's do this. I think that makes the most difference in like delivering for the things that matter most. And then I think it's also comes across in that content. And it's also like, I know that all these other little things I can do later, like answering comments or questions or DMs, or, emails and stuff. So I hope that was helpful so far. That was like kind of like my day to day. I could go into it a lot more, but we've already gone like 30 minutes in and I've only gotten to my first point. All right, so let's figure out a pup date here. Let's do a pup date. All right, we have some chaos in the pup date realm. All right, Barry, can you go back to your other hobbit hole? You're sitting in between two hobbit holes. Maybe that would be your biography. Between Two Hobbit Holes by Bo. All right, Bo. Can you back up? Careful. Back up. Good job. All right, I'm going to move your support duck. All right. Can you back up over there? No? Charlie wants to join. All right, Charlie, are you ready? We only see half your face because you're just like everywhere. I don't have anything. High five. Good job. High five. Good job. Also, I forgot to mention, Charlotte did her first high fives. Bo's hitting the thing. That's why it's moving right now. Charlotte did her first high fives at the vet, and I missed it. So she gave the vet staff high fives, which she's never done before. So I basically missed my dog's first veterinary high fives. All right, Barry, can I move you back that way? All right, that would be good. Charlotte's gonna melt down if you kick her. She's gonna have a freak out. Charlotte, I can't believe you gave them all high fives and I wasn't even there to see it. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Barry, you look like a lizard. Your eye keeps poking in and out. Well, now you guys can see his good eye and his rough eye. His good eye, the one that's moving right now is his good eye. The one that's like having his third eyelid move around, that's the good eye. The other eye is the one with the issue. All right, can you go back over there? You just don't want to. You just want to like put your leg in between everything. Oh my gosh. Why are you guys so weird? Okay. Good job, everybody. Good job. Charlotte, this is just a Wild West day. Today's just a Wild West day. Thanks for dealing with Wild West video time. All right, let's talk about these other things. So, when I'm kind of going through, so this is number 2. We're talking about number 2. When I'm kind of going through my day-to-day, it's all about kind of managing deadlines and things that need to get done. So like I said, a lot of times when I'm kind of going through my day-to-day, my calendar runs my life. So all of my deadlines, my calls, my appointments, my bills, my everything is in my calendar. So I keep one centralized place to deal with my day-to-day stuff. It's a lot easier for me to just manage my time. And I also have a to-do list in Dubsado. Like I know what my deadlines are and all my work, and I go in there every day. But my calendar is like what I can review for the coming week. It's what I can review for the coming day. Like I do it every night. Every night I check my calendar for the next day. Like what am I doing? Who's on first? And I kind of look through all that stuff. So as you're kind of thinking about your freelance writing day to day, if you're first starting out, figure out a system that works for you. If you're in the middle, kind of like part 2 range, you need to make your system more efficient. You need to get something like Dubsado or Asana. Like I like Dubsado more than Asana, but you need a tool to kind of like manage all the moving parts of your business. And if you're kind of running a 6-figure business, if you don't have something like Dubsado or Asana to run all the stuff with the appointments and the deadlines and the projects and the calendar and all those things, get something. All of that kind of stuff helps you with your day-to-day because it lifts a lot of admin headaches off of you. And it makes it just easier just to manage all the moving parts. That's one of my kind of secrets of running my 6-figure business, plus my coaching calls, plus Freelance Writer Wealth Lab, plus my student community, plus all the deadlines that I have, plus launching things, and I send a weekly email, and I come here and I do social media. All of that stuff is kind of just run in this very efficient way. Like I know that I need to write my weekly email at the very latest on Sunday because it goes out every Monday. I know that this needs to be done by Thursday because I have a live stream every Friday at noon, right? I have to do things on purpose. Or I have to do things based on the deadline. So for me, that means purposeful planning and being really particular about that stuff. So as you're running your day-to-day, you're going to end up with more deadlines. You're going to end up with more clients. You're going to end up with more stuff. And you're going to end up in this place that's like kind of an accordion. And I've seen my students do this. So I've had students ask me, like, is it going to get easier and better? Yeah, there's going to be a mid-range in your schedule in your day-to-day where you just have a lot of stuff and you're like, oh my gosh, how am I going to handle all of this? Deep breath, okay? All you have to do is take it step by step. Go to one appointment, figure that out, go do your deadline, figure that out. It will get easier. So for me, a lot of times it takes me a while to learn a tone and style of a client. So like I've had students be like, oh my gosh, it's taken me X amount of articles to learn the tone and style of this client or to write well for this client. Like, is it going to get easier? Yeah. But sometimes it still takes some time. Some clients have some weird quirks with how they want their content and how they want things to go. So it's a learning accordion type process and your day-to-day will change. So as you're kind of going through your work, you're going to find periods, hi Woo, you're going to find periods where you are overwhelmed with work, and then you're going to find periods where you don't have anything to do, right? But what that really means is when writers tell me, oops, I shouldn't have given you that Trito. Bo has to have different Tritos right now. Oops. Oh well. When you're kind of going through things, you have to kind of learn. Like there's no replacement. Like as many processes and systems and ways that I can explain how to run your day-to-day, you still have to put in the work. That's the thing that a lot of writers miss, is they're like, oh, if someone just tells me how to do this or how to, schedule this thing to make it easier or whatever, it'll figure itself out. No, you still have to put in the hard work of learning how to adapt to different clients. You still have to put in the hard work of learning how to manage your own schedule and manage how you write and when you do your best work, and how to do a good interview and how to schedule all your stuff and how to scale your things. And it's this accordion that happens. So if someone comes to me and they say they don't have anything to do in their writing business, I know that they're not being efficient with, good job, buddy. I know that they're not being efficient with marketing. They're not being efficient with their calendar. They're not paying attention to updating their website. There's always stuff to be done. There's always something to be done. But don't get stressed out if you're in the tough part of the accordion where it rains, it pours, and you end up with a ton of clients and work. Deep breath, take it step by step, and remember that you're learning how to run your day-to-day better. When you start running up against a problem, this is how I started doing Trello and Calendly and FreshBooks and Harvest and all of these tools. Then I realized, wait a minute, I can sub all those tools for Dubsado. I can just use Dubsado to run all the shit in my business, get rid of all these subscriptions, and pay one subscription a year. And that was solving the accordion problem. And you will have to do that over and over again in ways that make sense for you. So if you start with Calendly because it's free and Harvest because it's really cheap, then do that. And then if you want, after you kind of get the hang of that or you kind of outgrow it, then you move into something like Dubsado. But you'll always be kind of solving these accordion problems. And that's what you're supposed to do. That's what growth looks like. It's going to be hard sometimes. And I've had to tell myself that a lot recently, where there are hard times and good times. And sometimes you're in the hard times and you're like, where were the good times? There's always going to be some hard times. But your day-to-day, as it changes, you kind of have to grow and adapt with that. You kind of have to learn which part of the accordion you're at and figure out how you can get more efficient, which usually means tools or processes or systems or templates or ways where you don't have to keep reinventing the wheel, which is how I ended up templatizing my contracts, my proposals, my LOIs, my pitches, all this different stuff, so that I could get back to actually putting all my effort and energy into my clients and my students. Okay, so there will be an accordion time. You kind of have to figure that out as you go along. That's number 2. All right, hold on one second. I think I'm going to combine them into 3. So 3, let's talk about competing things. So when we're talking about competing projects and deadlines, right? Yeah. So as we're thinking through our schedule of all these different things, this is something that I think as you kind of move along, your priorities will change. And then also you're going to have different things that just kind of get in the way. So for me, it's really important to always have an ongoing list of what is due or what needs to be done, or different phases of my business. So what needs to be done in my Wealth Lab community versus what needs to be done for Freelance Writer Wealth Lab versus what needs to be done for these 4 clients versus what needs to be done for these 4 students versus what social media posts I need to do. And I kind of make sure that I pick the things that are important. And as you go along, there are going to be times where you just get stuck. For example, this week I had a lot. I have 5 articles due this week. Plus I had to facilitate a masterclass for my students. I had potential client calls. I had interviews for my articles. And I have a live stream. I have a coach call today. I have a potential client call, or I've had potential client calls. And there's just stuff that you kind of, as you go along, you realize, I don't know, it's almost like shifting. I can shift into high gear when I need to do really important stuff. And then I can kind of shift into low gear when I'm this doesn't need as much of my time and energy. So I kind of rev it up and rev it down depending on what's going on, so I can conserve energy and brain space and good quality brain juice for the things that really matter, which is the content, delivering for my clients, the strategy, answering questions for my students, making videos for my students, or doing master classes for my students, all of that stuff. So as you're kind of moving along, I think it's easier to take it bite by bite But I think it's also something important to think about with your schedule, in that it's morphing over time as you morph and as you get better and faster and you learn how to run your business and you look for efficiencies, and you kind of find little places that make the most sense for you to processize and systematize and all that stuff. Then things kind of like fall into a more natural formation. Like some people, like I said, some people still like to time block. They like the Pomodoro method, or they like there's little apps where like as you work, they build little forests or plants. And I used to have those, but like it never really worked for me. And a lot of times I've heard people do like, oh, I work for 2 hours, then I take a 30-minute break, and then I do this thing. And like, that doesn't work for me. When I do my day-to-day, like I really need to sit and write a draft all in one sitting. Like pretty much 95% of my drafts, I will just do it in one sitting, whether that draft takes me an hour and a half or like 6 hours. Like I have a really hard time writing a draft partially and then going to sleep and then trying to write the rest of it, because I forget where I was at and the flow is kind of messed up, and it just feels very choppy to me. So I like to sit and do a draft all at once. And yeah, I get up and go to the bathroom and I eat and stuff, but it's not like 2 hours and then this and then 2 hours. Like I don't do that. If I do something really complicated, I'll take a little time off after that. But a lot of times I think it just helps me to get all the writing out in one go. Then I can just be like, all right, phew, I'm done. I feel good. And then my brain can take a big rest, because it's like, I know it's done. There's nothing else to be done. The next day I'm like, all right, now it's editing brain's time, and editing brain's a little bit different. So I think it's kind of figuring that out over time. Like I tried all different systems and stuff that people recommended, and time blocking, and like some people are like, well, Mondays are writing day and Tuesday is marketing day and Wednesday is this. And if that works for you, then do it. For me, I need it to be really malleable because I have a bunch of things going on. So like I need my schedule to be more malleable in terms of like when I do my writing, because I could write at midnight, or I could be writing at 2 p.m. or I could be writing at 8 p.m. Like it just depends on where my energy is and what's going on. And I could have calls all day. Like I've had times where my schedule is I get up and I have like a 9 a.m. call, and then I have like 11, a 10 a.m. call and an 11 a.m. live Q&A. And then I have a deadline that day and I have an interview, and like there's all of this stuff sometimes that happens. So for me, the flexibility and the malleability of like my day to day really helps me be like, okay, I need to bulk write on this day so that this day I can do all my calls and then edit and then I'm done. I think that kind of learning experience of like trying all these things and seeing what made the most sense was a really good fit for me. And I think for most writers, you need to kind of figure that out. You need to play with different systems, and you need to kind of try different things in your day to day. Like as many times as my day has changed over the years, I think it's just that trial and error to get to a place where I now am able to run my 6-figure business plus all the other stuff. And I don't have a VA right now. So just saying that too, like I know people are always like, but you have a VA. I don't have a VA right now. I will sometime in the near future, but I think that's for a different live stream, talk about VAs. So if you have found this helpful so far, give it a thumbs up. If you feel like you want to learn more about building a high earning freelance writing business, subscribe. Let's talk about questions. We had some questions pop in here that I'm going to answer. So first one is, let's say you're LOI interested, a potential client, and you set a time to hop on a call. What questions should you ask? Can you give us some call examples? Yeah. So I have a video for this, and I will link it in the description. I will put it in the description. But yeah, I have about 10 or 15 questions that I always ask every potential client. And I went through all those questions in the video, so I will put it in there. But you're going to want to ask about budget, project scope, timelines, what their deadlines are, what their timeline is for the project, whether it's bylined or ghost written, what the project content type is and what their goals are for it. If they have any other things in the pipeline, who are you going to be working with? Those are kind of the general idea. But you always want to start with like, what is this? Like, tell me about the project, tell me about the company, tell me about the goals. Okay. And then what's in the project? Is it 4 blog posts per month? Is it 2 case studies a quarter? What is this? And then what's your budget for that? So you can make sure you're playing in the same ballpark. And then you want to kind of go through like, do you send a contract, or Is this bylined or ghostwritten? Or what else is in your pipeline? I'm not going to answer this a super ton because I already did a video on it, but I will link to it below. But yes, you should always have questions. Like I have a Word doc that I always go through when I have a call. All right. This one, regarding upfront payments. Yes, Minnie, I know, but I've been giving you stuff and you're being a sassafras. Regarding upfront payments, what are the minimum funds owned by a client so they can make an upfront payment? I try asking just in case, but they have not found any. To be honest, I've been fortunate with clients who pay me with no issues after work has been submitted, but it's also good to be precautious, right? So here's the deal. It's not that I'm not sure minimum funds owned. So like I always think of it as revenue, and there's nothing that will give you like information on whether or not someone can make an upfront payment. You're making a guess based on revenue if they can even afford a freelance writer. So I always use 3 million to 10 million ish for startups. That's kind of the minimum for startups is 3 million. To be able to afford a freelance writer, and then 5 to 50 million ish for regular businesses. And it depends on niche, and it depends on a whole bunch of different things. But you want to align more with revenue, that they would have the amount of revenue that makes sense for hiring a freelance writer versus being like, how much funds like would they have to do it for an upfront payment? You would have no idea about upfront payment, but you can find revenue ranges. So 3 million to 10 million plus ish for startups. That's the minimum to be able to afford a freelance writer. And it depends on niche, whether they need 3 million or 10 million and their marketing budget and their content and all that stuff. And then the same thing with businesses, 5 million to 50 million for businesses that are not startups. And that depends on, you know, what's in their budget. But yeah, you like what you want to do is, have this like set up in terms of, you know, their revenue, like before you send an LOI. And then you want to get upfront payments, but that piece is all like, you know, you just agree to that and then they send you money and you don't do any work until they've sent you the upfront payment. All right, so I hope that was helpful. All right, next question we have is, it's long. I'm still here. How do you keep up with your LinkedIn connections? It takes a lot of time to read, like, and comment, even when you don't have many connections. But what happens when you have 500 plus? Should we give priority to posts from CEOs or marketing directors, for example, even if their company didn't hire us? Or should we find influencers? And who even is an influencer for a freelance writer? So there's a lot in this question. So here's the deal. I don't. I only keep up with certain LinkedIn connections where it's like my friends, my students, people that I care about, or it's like interesting stuff, or it's people who might be my client. Like I'm not trying to keep up with 500. I have like 5,000 connections. I'm not trying to keep up with 5,000 connections. You are not even like, if you don't have any work, you don't even care. Don't pay attention to your LinkedIn feed. You can only get to this part when you're in like phase 2 of your business, when you're able to kind of scale and then you have extra time to do things. Like you're in the part of your business where you have clients, you have money coming in, you've kind of templatized things, you've got all of your stuff kind of going. When you're starting out, your whole thing is getting clients and making some money and marketing. Like don't fluff around on LinkedIn, liking and stuff. That takes too much time. You just need to go in and ask for it. Do you need help? Do you need help? That needs to be straight up. Like the liking, commenting, posting, sharing, being part of groups, that is a way long-term plan that you do like second phase of your business. So I give priority to people who I think are interesting or that might be a client or who are people I like or know or trust or whatever, or students or whatever. So for me, when I get on LinkedIn, I'm most of the time, I'm just sending in-mails. I'm sending LOIs, or I'm answering DMs, or I'm answering stuff, or I'm making my own posts, which is like for helping other freelance writers, right? So for me, it's not, I don't keep up with any of them. Like, I think it's just a long-term slow strategy. And when you're starting out, you have to get the marketing, like you just have to ask for it. You have to ask whether or not they need help, right? You can't do these like long-term things. If you're in the second phase of your business, yeah, I would prioritize anyone who may be a client for you in the future or who told you they're not ready yet, or you know, that kind of stuff. But as you're kind of going through it, like if their company didn't hire you, that to me, that doesn't even really matter. Like there's always kind of like a thing where there's a lot of places that haven't hired me that I still like their stuff because I like their stuff. Like it's just, yeah. So for me with LinkedIn, it's more about active outbound marketing, sending LOIs and pitches and well, LOIs. And then when you have time, you can like, comment, share, do all that extra stuff. Now, should you find influencers, and even who is an influencer for a freelance writer? So I guess if you want to be spicy about it, like, I don't know. I think you should find people who are helping you learn how to be a better freelance writer. So I don't really know what would be an influencer for a freelance writer other than people who do one-on-one coaching or who have courses or who are actively, even if they don't have courses or coaching, they're actively sharing stuff on LinkedIn or on social that helps you become a better writer, helps you run a better business, helps you understand things. That I think is more important. Influencer, I think, is oftentimes like a bad name because a lot of people are like, think influencers are like, I bought this TV, you should buy it too. And it has nothing to do with like your niche or what, you know, what you're doing. So I think when you're looking for stuff for freelance writing, it has to be advice-based. It has to be people who have been there and done that. It has to be information that really helps you move forward. And I think that's the important part. And I don't think you would be looking for influencers so much on social media. You would be looking to do all of your active business stuff. And then when you need to learn more, then you can go and find someone to help you learn more. And I think as the beginning, like if you're starting out, you should definitely find a bunch of people who are telling you like from experience what to do, because it cuts out a lot of headaches and pain and suffering. But yeah, like I think like I said, you're always better off like asking for the sale, right? That's what they ask for this. You always ask if they need help. You're always better off doing that than doing a lot of long-term strategies about like follow an influencer and like and comment and eventually they'll recognize you, or like follow this person long enough that they'll hire you. And that does work, but it's way longer term. It's way longer term than sending your LOIs. It's way longer term than just asking for the sale when you need clients and money and you're trying to build a business. Okay? So I hope that was helpful. And I think your LinkedIn strategy is super important. Like LinkedIn has been critical for me building my business. It's where I still do a lot of my marketing and where I still share a bunch of tips and tricks and stuff for freelance writers. But I think that like most of the time I meet writers that are trying to treat LinkedIn like Facebook or like Instagram, and it's not. It's just not like that. It's for business marketing, and Instagram is more like build a bunch of followers and then you can like sell stuff to them and that makes money. LinkedIn is like a different beast. So like you're offering helpful stuff, you're helping with their business, you're doing a lot of things before you would ever ask someone for money or you would share things. It's just a lot of stuff that's way different as a platform. And like I said, like LinkedIn is more for like businesses. So when you send an LOI on there, it's like, you know, it's B2B, it's business to business, your business to theirs. That's a lot more welcome and understood on LinkedIn than like Instagram or stuff like that. And it depends on your field, right? Like there's a lot of B2B stuff on Instagram that happens. But for us, I've noticed that like one-on-one on LinkedIn is just way better. And your time being spent on liking and commenting and following certain people and influencers and all that stuff, that's second tier. I didn't do that for years and years and years because it's just so long. It takes so long. And what you're really doing, a lot of times this is what it is like when I ask writers, like, why do you think that's valuable? They're like, oh, well, eventually they'll hire me. Why don't you just send them an LOI and ask? Just do that. That makes so much more sense than like pretending you don't really want the cookie, but then you're like, maybe they'll just give me the cookie. No. Like I only do that in certain situations where like I'm liking and commenting people's stuff that I like that makes sense, or clients that like aren't ready yet, or clients that they're like keep in touch. That kind of stuff makes sense. But you don't, like a lot of times they're like, oh, I thought I had to like play hard to get, and then they'll like, clients will reach out and be like, I saw you liked my stuff so much, you should work for us. Like just ask. That's a way better idea than playing games with them. Don't play games, just ask for the sale. All right, I hope this was helpful. If you feel like this has been helpful, give it a thumbs up. If you feel like you want to learn more about building a high earning freelance writing business, subscribe below or wherever the thing is. I always forget where it is. Let's see if we can get a pup date. Let's see if we can get you guys, like, come on, buddy. Why are you guys, like, so weird? Okay, go back to your hobble hole. Go back to your hobble hole. Other hobble hole. And you don't, wait, I don't want you to, like, hurt yourself. I want to, like, support you because I know you're going to, like, do something weird. All right, Charlotte, you're in your hobble hole. Bo, can you go back to yours? Can I make you go over there? All right. Careful. It's not, okay. It's going to be a while, guys. It's going to take a while for him to find it. So we'll just let him dig around for a bit. How you doing, Charlie? Ready for your high fives? Yeah. Good girl. All right, high five. High five. Good girl. All right, hold on. We got to find the Treato. Barry, you're stepping on it, buddy. You're stepping on it. Did you get it? Oh, gosh. Barry. Oh, I think you actually ate it, Barry. I think you ate it. And now you're, like, looking around for something else. Barry. Barry. Good job. Oh, careful. I know, you're having vision problems. You're bumping into stuff. That's what happens when you're old and you have all these eye issues, and bless you. Bless you, Tiny Bean. Oh, now she's running. Now we're going. All right. I hope that this was helpful. I hope that this was an entertaining live stream with my dogs running all over the place because they're wild today. But yeah, if you feel like it was helpful, give it a thumbs up. I'm here every Friday at noon Central Time. Last little bit of info, Freelance Writer Wealth Lab is opening up on September 6th. So if you want to check that out, you can join the wait list by going to mandyellis.com/course. My masterclass will be running, so if you go and either go to mandyellis.com/course or you go to mandyellis.com and get my free pricing guide, so mandyellis.com/pricing guide. When you sign up for the free pricing guide, it'll let you know when my free masterclasses are. So that's the way to get the free masterclass. And then my course is opening right after those free masterclasses. If you're interested in any of that, or if you're interested in Charlotte wooing at you, they don't normally woo this much when I do the course stuff. So anyways, you can hop over there and get the free pricing guide. My free masterclass is only offered twice a year. So if you're interested in that, make sure to sign up. All right. I hope everybody has a good Friday, and I will see you later. Bye.